How's it going? My name's James. Welcome to the channel. And today we're going to do kind of a mid-September book haul just because my new book stack is getting a little tall and I honestly don't know if I'm going to be getting any more books this month. And if I do, I just feel like it would be too much for all of it to be in one video. So I'm going to kind of split things up because I kind of had some stuff trickle in at the end of August, and then Emily and I are big fans of our local Friends of the Library book sale that they do twice a year, and so we went and did that. And then I was lucky enough to have an independent author send me a copy of one of his short story collections, and so I just kind of wanted to talk about all of that stuff because there's a little bit of variety in where the places are coming from. It wasn't just me hitting our local used bookstore like it usually is and raiding the shelves for anything that I can find. And so I thought that I would just do this video because it's kind of fun. There's some fun stuff I think in the pile coming up. And so yeah, I don't have to justify it anymore. This is my channel. I'm gonna do what I want. Here we go. So right at the end of the month, at the end of August, after my last book haul, my buddy Corbin raided my Amazon list and found a couple books in there that I was really excited about and sent them to me just to kind of surprise me. And I've already started reading one of them because it's basically been one of those books that every time I go into a bookstore, whether it's Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, whatever store it is, I always pick this book up and I walk around with it for a little while because I liked to just imagine taking it home someday, but I never did. So he bought it and he sent it to me, which was super rad. And that was The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. I started this a couple weeks ago, and then, like I said in the last video, had just a stupid work week that was just so crazy long that I didn't really get any physical reading time. And so I'm only like about yay into it, however much that is. But I'm loving it. I love the kind of slower, methodical pace that he's taking. I'll save that for a full video because I'll probably end up doing a full review of this. So he sent me this, which was super sick. Thank you, Corbin. And he also told me that he was pretty excited about more John Gwynne. And so he went ahead and bought Malice for me and sent me the first book in The Faithful and the Fallen, which I will probably be starting. Jeez, I don't know when I'm gonna start. I wanted to read through a lot of John Gwynne's backlog before the next Bloodsworn book comes out, which the last one came out in April or May. I think it was April. And so I think that there's like 7 books in his backlog that I need to work through. So I'm gonna have to get started on these pretty quick. Maybe we're going on vacation actually with Corbin and his wife Heaven in November. And so maybe this will be one of the books that I take with me on vacation and try and start catching up on some John Gwynne on vacation then. But he sent me Justice of Kings and Malice, and I'm super thankful for that. That was super awesome. Thanks, dude. The next one was super cool because I don't know if this is like tacky to say. Maybe it is. Maybe it is tacky. One of the perks that I think is really cool of being a YouTuber is the opportunity to interact with authors on the platform. And one of those interactions being given the opportunity to be fortunate enough to be sent a book, to be able to shout an author out, say thank you for sending it to me, and especially independent authors, give them the opportunity to put their books on as many platforms as possible. And so Derek Bailey reached out and sent me a copy of his short story collection called the Voidwalker Collection. And I think that Theo over at Rekindled Reader is the only other person that I've seen receive a copy of this. And we have both talked about how it might be kind of good for some like spooky season reading, some October reading. I'm not actually entirely sure what a lot of this is about. I know that they were originally Kindle releases. They were originally digital releases. And then he got to compile them together in this sweet little collection here, and he just reached out to me and asked if he could send me a copy of it if I'd be interested in that, and I was like, of course, that's super cool. So he did, and I'll leave a link down below so that you can pick up a copy of this too and kind of check it out for yourself and see if it sounds like something that would interest you. Yeah, thank you, Derek, for sending me a copy of this. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Okay, next comes the 3 books that I picked up, and honestly, the sale is, as of recording this, the sale is still going on, and we're kind of undecided on whether or not we're gonna go back and get more because they usually have crazy good deals. I'm trying to up my classic fantasy game and start reading just like some of the more old pulp stuff that I've just really enjoyed what little bit I've been able to dip my fingers into. And one of those authors, or pairs of authors, I guess, would be Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman, most probably famous for their Dragonlance books. So they write in the D&D universe. They write officially published novels for Dungeons and Dragons, and I had never heard of the Deathgate cycle or the first book, Dragonwing, but I have heard of Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, and I know that you can usually find a ton of their books pretty much anywhere books are sold. I think that they actually have a new book out right now, which is pretty sick, that they've been writing for so long. I kind of just want to read a little bit more of this classic older fantasy, the more pulp stuff, because as much as I love modern narratives, complex, convoluted plots, sometimes I really just want to sit down and read about some dudes riding dragons, fighting evil sorcerers. Like sometimes that's the mental capacity that I have. Not that those are lesser stories, but you know what I mean? Just that classic fantasy vibe where it's just very much about a quest. It's very much about a journey. I love Dungeons and Dragons. We have a really fun home game that we play. And so this kind of stuff always just, it's like comfort food. It's just a feel good adventure story. I have no idea whether I'll like it or enjoy it. It was like $1 and it supported the Friends of the Library sale. And so I was like, okay, why not? I'll just grab it. Plus the art, like I love like the art. It's just cool. These little like floating islands in the background. I'll move my face. YouTuber thing working for me? No? Hang on. Yeah, these like floating islands. It's just cool. It's just, I don't know. It's just cool. The next thing that I found, I was actually pretty stoked to find, because this year the pickings at the library book sale were really slim. I feel like, especially in the science fiction and fantasy area. They usually have a pretty good portion of tables set out that's all science fiction and fantasy stuff that has kind of been pushed out of the rotation, or that they're just selling or whatever. And this year there wasn't a ton that I was like really interested in, but I was pretty excited, especially given the video that I did on this, to find The Summer Tree by Guy Gavriel Kay, which I'm pretty sure is the first book in the Fienavar tapestry. It sure is. It says it right there. Look at that. I remembered. And this is kind of like a fun older edition. It's a little beat up, which is fine. I'm gonna try and maybe clean it up a little bit. It looks a little dusty, but I don't think that it is unreadable. I don't think it's unlovable. I'm pretty excited to just give this guy a try. Like I said, it's another one of those, I have no idea when I'll be able to get around to it, but I saw the copy. I loved the old art style of the cover and thought, you know what? I'm just gonna get it. This was meant to be. This was here for me. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna take it. It's mine. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to read a little bit of Guy Gavriel Kay eventually. all of this is kind of eventually, except for Malice, which I know will be probably in the next couple of months that I'll start diving into The Faithful and the Fallen. Really, a lot of this is just as I finish these series and working our way up to the Stormlight reread next year. There will be a lot of stuff that is just kind of, hey, I've got a couple extra books that I could read this month, and so this is definitely pretty up there on the priority list, though. I'm pretty excited to read some Guy Gavriel Kay. Last but not least, I have been on the hunt. I've been searching because, especially within the people who are over on the Grimoire Discord, I was in the historical fiction section. I was looking for the Warlord Chronicles, any books in the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. I've just heard people say that they're incredible. That's not what this is. I didn't find that. I wasn't lucky enough to find any of that. But I was pretty lucky to find a copy of Shogun by James Clavell. Clavell? I remembered that Alex over at Tall Guy Reads was talking about, I think it was Alex. I'm gonna feel really stupid if it wasn't him that was talking about doing this read along. But I think at the first of the year, he was talking about doing a read along of this. And I'm gonna be honest, I had never heard of it. Actually, that's not true. I feel like it's one of those books that I had seen on a shelf and I just never picked it up. But I had never really heard of this until they had talked about this read along. And so I looked it up and I was like, whoa, that sounds kind of awesome. I'm wanting to branch out a little bit more of just the fantasy and science fiction. Obviously, those are my favorite genres to read, and I don't really see that changing. I think the vast majority of what I'm reading is gonna be fantasy and science fiction for quite a while. But I hear a lot of people who read fantasy and science fiction talk about how much they love historical fiction, specifically Bernard Cornwell. lately has been somebody that I just hear people rave about. Honestly, like I don't even know too much of what this is about. I kind of just want to go into it and read it, see if I click with it. But I might try and hop in on that read along with Alex or whoever it was hosting it, being able to dig into something a little different, maybe a palate cleanser at the beginning of the year before a year of a lot of fantasy. I was gonna wrap up here, but can I just say how nice it is to hold this in my hands. Christopher Rocchio, you have outdone yourself with these covers. Kieran Yanner, is that the name? This is basically the next thing that's gonna consume my last week of September. I feel like I'm really behind on this read along, but technically, I think that this also counts as a haul because this came in with everything else, kind of right there at the end of October. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked to start this one. I'm gonna finish Justice of Kings maybe tomorrow or the next day, and then just plow through this beast. I think this is the longest one so far, 746. So not the longest book I've read this year, but not the shortest one either. But it'll probably be the most pages that I read in a week if I actually finish it before September is over. So we'll see, but this is kind of like a little tag cheat. I just feel like I have to talk about Christopher Rocchio in every video now because this series is incredible and you should be reading it. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for this one. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below what books you've bought recently. If you're compulsive and addicted to buying books like I am, like everybody on here is. Yeah, so I think that's all I got for this one. So I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.